So we're here, and we're going to try building Derek's first computer. What do you think? Yeah, it should be pretty fun. We'll see how this goes. We haven't done a live stream before, so we'll see how this works out. Quick recap, we have the AMD Ryzen 5 3600X processor here. We have 1 terabyte Sabrent NVMe or M2 SSD, 32 gigs of G.Skill Trident Z RGB memory, and the component that just came in, the ASUS TUF Gaming X570-PLUS. So why don't we get to it? I'm gonna set some of this stuff aside.
Okay.
I like to start just by flying out the motherboard and getting an idea as to what we're doing. So I got this. Do you want to cut it open? There's usually a piece of tape or something around here. Oh, yep, it just slides right on it. So why don't you open that up? So what do you think?
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. So you want to take it out carefully, and usually there's a little hand grip in the back. You can kind of just pivot that out. And just carry that carefully with your hands, and I will just move the box out of the way for now. We have this pad down here, anti-static pad. It'll also keep us from scratching the desk or anything. You can pull that out. Derek did just wash his hand, so it's nice and clean. And let's not scrape that across this, but just do that. So we'll take a look. So we got a few different things going on here. Let's flip the cameras. So we have 4 DDR4 DIMM memory slots. This is where we're going to put the colorful RAM we got. This is the CPU socket. It's an AM4. That's where the processor goes. We've got 2 PCIe 416X slots. So we'll put your graphics card here.
Okay.
We originally had you set up with a GTX 1080.
That's the motherboard, the one that got cancelled, right?
No, what I mean is the graphics card.
No.
I was going to give you a GTX 1080. I decided to give you my RTX 2070. I had that in my media center computer, but I'm not able to use that right now for unforeseen reasons. So I'll let you use it. It's better than having it go to waste. I'll put the 1080 into the media center machine. You've never built a computer, so you haven't seen the bigger hard drives. I have a few here. This is kind of what hard drives looked like for a long time. These big boxes. The hard drive you have on this machine is a tiny little chip that'll just slip right into this slot here. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and it's significantly faster than these. Going through this, this is like the chipset fan. This looks like another M2, that little hard drive. It looks like another M2 with a heatsink built in. This is probably where they want you to put the first one. So that's generally what it is. Oh yeah, I should mention that you have a bunch of cool things going on in the back here. This lets you plug in a Wi-Fi adapter and Bluetooth. So when we get you set up, you can have your Xbox controller with Bluetooth. You don't have to plug it in. A headset, you can use your Bose headset. Just be completely untethered from the board and play your stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You've got all your audio ports back here, and this is a display port. HDMI, looks like you have 4 USB 3 and a USB 3 Type-C here. This is like the connector that goes to the newer iPads. I don't know if this board supports it, but it can support, like video output and whatnot. You won't actually be using these video outputs because we have a good graphics card. We'll plug this straight into that graphics card. That's generally how this works. There's a bunch of things on this board that you won't be using because we're just going to stick in a 1 terabyte NVMe drive. But these ports here, there's SATA, and you got 4 here and 4 more here that lets you connect those bigger hard drives like we were looking at. Cool. So I usually like to start getting the CPU installed. That's just kind of where I start. Pretty early on, I put this into the case, but there's some things I like to do first. Mainly get the CPU in, and I've never used the CPU cooler that we have. So a lot of times what you need to do is you need to go to the back of the motherboard and maybe remove this plate and install a new plate. And very early on in my PC building career, I would just slap the CPU on, get it in the case, and be like, okay, I have this big cooling block. Stick it on. I was like, oh, dang it, it won't fit. And then I read the instructions. Oh, crap. So I take the motherboard out, pull the CPU out, and do everything. So we're gonna start right in this time. So I guess this is out. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get your CPU cooler. So you see that little thing looks like a UFO down there?
Oh, yeah.
Pick that box up. And we'll set that aside for now. Yeah, why don't you get that? So this one does have a tape here, so just be careful.
How exactly do you open this?
You know, so there's a little button here. There's a button here. Press, open, and there you go.
That's pretty simple.
And I'm gonna cut this just because it's awkward. I don't want you hurting yourself. Okay, so now you can take over.
Okay.
So that is kind of cool, right?
Warming up.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to slide this a little
What's that?
further off to the side.
What's this?
This looks like a desiccant. It just keeps you from getting much moisture in there.
Oh, so what's in beef jerky?
Yes, exactly. What's in beef jerky? Take that off so everybody can see. This is a kind of cool CPU cooler. It's RGB. Like once it's on, it'll support in the full RGB color. It's got a copper cooling block there. A bunch of it feels like aluminum fins. That's pretty cool.
That looks like a needle.
Yeah.
Can't find the name for it.
An insect of some kind?
No. Where is it? This.
Oh, it looks like a syringe. Yeah, that's thermal paste. I have better thermal paste for you. There's 2 things I don't do, and one is use a stock cooler. That's what this is. And 2 is use whatever thermal paste comes for free with whatever you get. I have something really cool. It's this here.
Oh, so that's what it is.
This Arctic MX4. I really like this stuff. Now, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but what the thermal paste does is you put a layer of this onto your CPU, and then you mount this on top of that. And
so is it sort of like some sort of glue?
It's not exactly a glue. What it does is it fills in all the little air gaps between the CPU and the heatsink, so that the heat can travel more efficiently between the CPU and the heatsink. So the CPU runs pretty hot. If it runs really hot, it slows itself down. It says, I'm going to pull less power. It's called thermal throttling. So it'll slow down. So that expensive CPU you have, you won't be using it to its full power because of that. It has to scale down. If it gets too hot, it'll actually shut off. And if it gets too hot too much, it'll just die. The heatsink essentially lets you transfer all the heat from the CPU up into these aluminum fins, right? These kind of spread the heat over a wider area, and then this fan cools the fin so that as the heat comes out of the CPU, it'll travel upwards, right? Heat wants to rise, it'll travel up through this toward the fan, spin. Fan will dissipate it out into the air inside the case, and that process will continue. So that's pretty important. This thermal paste, contrary to popular belief, it doesn't actually improve like the thermal transfer properties. It just makes it so that there's less gap, so that the more you have touching of the heatsink and the CPU, the more heat can get dissipated. And, you know, anyway. So now it's the part that I used to hate doing, which always got me in trouble, and it's reading the instructions. So I'm going to have you pull out that book, and we are going to look for instructions that say something along the lines of AM4 or AMD or something along those lines. So Intel and AMD. Okay, this is further down the road. Pull this out. So okay, Intel and AMD. Looks like they want us to remove the liner. Sure, do that. Hold on. Nope. Don't get ahead of ourselves, okay? It does say to peel it away, but I don't want to peel it away just yet, because then we're going to put it down. It's going to get stuff stuck to it. Like, we just need to be sure you remember to take it out. Like, we don't want to forget, because that would really suck. But we'll hold off on that later. So let's see. This is some pretty bad instructions here. So what we're going to do for AMD is we're going to take parts F and parts D. This is literally the most complicated part of putting together any system. The CPU cooling. It gets more expensive as you start doing, not more expensive, more complicated as you start doing water cooling and whatnot.
How does water feel?
If you use liquid instead of just, metal to metal as you're cooling. So this has markings on it. It says AMD here. AMD. So it does actually help us out. See, it says Intel here, and AMD here. So let's see if we can sort this out.
It has.
Okay, so you want F and D, and put that aside. You see in here part F and part D, right? You see F and D. So you want to look in here for part that looks like F and the part that looks like D?
Yeah.
Here, I actually have a bunch of these metal bowls. There's a medium size here.
The dark
We're
ones.
gonna need this here. That's right. And maybe it'll be easy to just kind of dump this out.
See, it's all this. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yep.
So this is part F.
That is part F.
This
Okay.
D.
And this is part D. Is this part D?
There's one that looks almost exactly like it.
This looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then,
So now what it says, if you look at this step. So we go into the AMD spot. So if we line this up exactly like how the picture shows it to us. So we're gonna have this. In this section says we're gonna stick I guess a D in here.
do you need another D?
I'm really not sure. Let's see. So there's a D here. Now we're gonna put this guy on top of it. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that looks right. So you see how this fits right in here?
Oh wow.
And then we're gonna flip this. I believe anyway.
Is that the wrong one?
No, this is the right one. So it says slide it in.
So much for sliding.
Yeah. I just need to break it. Here we go.
Alright.
Cool. So that looks good. That was actually pretty easy. And it says there should be a different size. Where And get C. This C.
And C is
Yeah, with the two,
yeah.
the big hole. We're gonna set these aside for now, because we're gonna use it in the next step.
Okay.
So I have to believe that we're gonna do this 4 times. So do you want to try that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you find another D and another F.
Yeah, this is
That's correct.
okay.
So you slide it in there and you see how it fits right into that section. There you go. Perfect. And then this goes with the, yep. You just slide it right in there. It'll take a little bit of pressure to get it in.
Yeah. He's like moving away from actually snapping. Like, look. Or
You need some heat.
yes, please. I just had a little bit more pressure.
Okay, so just slide that right in there. There you go. Good job. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
What does it mean?
It's just a funny saying. There you go, right in there. And remember that the open side goes on the bottom. If you can, you could hold it a little bit forward so it's in the camera's view. Right on it.
Yay!
Those magnetic bowls are pretty helpful, right? You don't have to worry about spilling everything all over the place.
And sticking.
You got that?
1 second. I think I actually put it in.
That's the wrong way. Remember, pay attention to the way the other ones are lined up. There you go.
Oh, dang it. Just figured it out.
You got it. You got it.
Okay.
That's why we're doing it together. Super helpful to look at pictures and line things up just like the picture. Ooh, so close. You have it? You have it? No, you got it. Nice work. So, what Derek did was he installed these pieces at the end. We've got 4, and they all look securely fastened. Good work. So, that was step 3.
Okay.
Now,
Step 4.
we're going to move on to step 4. So, we're going to need, we got the C, right? We're going to need J. J looks like a screw of some kind. So this is J.
I think I saw that somewhere. Is this it?
J.
Tiny.
That looks like J. We're going to need 2 of them. Now I have, luckily, a whole collection of these handy dandy magnetic bowls. So we can put the ones we need in there. And look, it's like magic.
Look at how it landed.
That is unexpected. Cool. And the cool thing about these bowls is that they also stick to the desk. So you can't over on accident. Cool. So anyway, now that you have this, we're going to turn this over. And I would like you to peel away this cover now. We can do that.
My shirt was really stuck to the desk.
If you had a magnetic shirt, I'd be asking why you're wearing chainmail.
And I just got stuck between this.
Cool. So we're gonna leave this upside down for now. We just want to be sure that we're not gonna like smash the fan or something. That's where the magic happens. So there we have that. Now, remember what I said about lining up the picture. So this says we want to be sure the instructions we follow say AMD AM4. We have an AM4 socket and an AM4 CPU. So we're going to skip any instruction that doesn't say AM4. So luckily, this one says AM4, so we're on the right track. So you see how this is a C. And if we line this up exactly like the picture, we're going to have this here, right?
Mm-hmm.
These two ends, just like that. And we're going to align this way. And what it looks like is you're going to want to stick it under here and then put it, hold on, I can't see. Okay? And then we're going to screw it in. So if you want, I can hold this and you can screw that in. You can just hand tighten for now.
Hey, this is tiny.
Okay, so what you can do is if it's tiny, we have these slightly magnetized screws. Now, magnets and electronic components don't normally like to play nice together. This is very lightly magnetized, and this particular component doesn't have any real issues. So we're going to see if we can do this. We're going to get that in there. And we're just going to screw that in. It doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel.
Wait. Does it say to put it in?
Dude, you are right. That's why it didn't feel right. Good job. It's not the most clear instructions, but it's a good thing you're here. Otherwise, we would have been messed up. So why don't you do the screw? Hold on. Let's actually, you can make it easier by just getting this started here. By getting it started here, it's easier to line up. You don't have to be able to see it. Right now, it's securing itself into the slot. So now you can just screw it in. See, we're on like step 3 of our 87-step process, and we already have a massive mess on the desk.
Really?
That's what it's all about. Yeah. We'll keep things tidy as we go. Okay, are you good? Let me get a feel. It's a little uglier than I expected.
Yeah.
This is the right bolts.
Is it supposed to be this one? Because oh yeah, it's supposed to be this one.
Yeah, it's the right piece. Right?
It's so weird. Are you so sure?
I think this should be fine. You know, like, no, that wasn't even in. I feel like there's a piece missing. In fact, no, it does. I was right. It does go on the bottom. That's why it wasn't staying.
Oh, one goes on the top and one goes on the bottom.
No, they both go on the bottom.
That's weird pictures.
Yeah. See, that makes sense because what's actually happening is this screw is essentially sandwiching this piece into this one.
Oh.
We can still use that strategy. We can still stick the screw in here. Ah, wow, that stayed nice. So this should actually be much more secure. This feels right.
Oh.
You see?
I think you actually flipped it over so it's like this. Now that.
Man, I'm not doing a good job.
Because last time this part was against.
Yeah, and that was right. It's wrong though. This is awesome. Okay, so good job. That's why you're here. Keep me from doing anything ridiculous. Well, I do ridiculous things regardless, but you stopped me from getting too far down that path. Okay, so let's try that. Okay. Still say this feels kind of weird, but I will trust.
What the instructions?
I will trust the instruction. Okay, who makes this? CoolerMaster? Yeah, CoolerMaster's good. They know what they're doing. They also made a case. So I'm going to have you do the second one. Okay, now that we've sorted out the issues, I'll see you in a second. Here's the screwdriver.
Screw, where's the table?
There's a tiny boom. I'm going to get this lined up just so. Okay, that's lined up for you. Isn't that magnetic screwdriver super helpful?
Yeah, I wish we had all of our screwdrivers were magnetic.
Yeah, there you go. You don't have to go too tight.
Okay.
Cool. So, for the camera, this is what we have. We've attached these, looks like mounting plates, to this other thing that also looks like a mounting plate, and presumably these will fit together. That's what's okay. That was still step 3. that was step 3B. Now let's move on to step 4. So step 4 says we are meant to take this piece that we have, we're going to face it this way.
Do you need the case?
The motherboard, I think so. Let's not put that on the motherboard. And then we will move this, looks like onto the back of the motherboard. Hold on. Don't, let's be sure we understand what's going on. So, okay, we're going to put these into the back of the motherboard, and then we're going to put these, like, looks like these are like called standoffs. They're just here to kind of space things. So there's a step 3C in here that's not on the instructions.
Really?
Yes, and what that step is we have to actually remove the existing mounting blocks that are on the motherboard. So to do that, I'm actually going to make some. You're going to need it. So where's the box? Let's put this stuff back in the box for now, just to keep it all together. This out, and the piece that we just made. Like, what did I do with that?
The piece you just made?
Yeah, where did I put it?
Oh,
there. I am losing it. Okay, so we're going to move this. Oops, there you go. Good catch. And then there. I'm going to grab this. So this came with a CPU cooler and fan mounting block for the stock cooler that comes with our processor. Like I said, I don't use stock coolers. I was warned literally by a stock cooler. It caught fire inside the computer. Of course, I was in Hawaii. It was 95 degrees and 98% humidity. But from that point forward, I have not trusted coolers. So I always put a custom cooler on. So it does add work, right? Like, we've done a bunch of steps. We haven't even gotten to the real stuff yet. And in fact, we're going to go backwards a few steps because I'm going to remove the stock cooler mounting. So to do that, very easy. Just going to unscrew these bits. And we're going to keep everything. We're not going to lose it. We're not going to throw it away. We're just going to set it aside. You think you have any friends watching?
Mm-hmm.
Are you arranging this holy? I don't even know what you just did. That's fascinating. Look what Derek did. How does that even work? Okay, anyway, moving on. This came off. This came off. We're going to set these aside. And there's one more piece that came off. Watch. Ta-da! This came off as well. Okay, this is the back. So we're going to, like I said, we don't want to lose these. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep them all together. So I'm going to grab these screws. And in fact, you can do this if you want. Just gently screw them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll kind of keep everything together and it's convenient. And you can use that one if you want.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You step on my foot.
Yep.
Thanks, man. I love when people step on my foot. Okay, back to the instructions. We left off on AM4, step 4. So, are you good?
Almost.
Cool, good stuff. So, step
Should we screw both of
4.
them in?
Yeah, just for both of them. That way it'll all stay together. Step 4 says mount this piece to the back.
This one is more magnetic than usual.
Oh yeah? Better than the other one?
Mm-hmm. Like, hold on 1 second. Look at this. I'm using the force.
This is trickier than it is. Let's see.
This is hard. This
There you
is
go.
more use of us. It uses more sight than I.
This is more sight. That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, I lost of parts.
So I've got this bracket kind of configured into the back. It was a little more complicated than I expected because I had to kind of wiggle the what was it, part J?
Yeah.
Or J around. So now I'm going to get the standoffs
C,
on
right?
the C. Yeah. I'm going to get these standoffs and just mount these here.
This is weird. Okay, it's going to take for a second. Okay, that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job with your teamwork. You know, what you can do is you can probably just set that aside on the 3D printer or something. Print this out over. Okay, so those are in, but they do not feel super tight. They're kind of wobbly.
Maybe something needs to be. Oh, never mind. That doesn't work.
Yeah, that's something.
We want to have.
Oh no, you know what it is? It's just the holes are kind of bigger.
No.
It's not like it's not tight, but the holes are bigger than the screws. So just make sure you got the right pieces. It looks like the right piece. There's no other piece in there, right? That's piece H. That's okay, do me a favor. Okay? Do me a favor and look for another piece that looks. I'm pretty sure this is the right piece because there is another piece. H and K. We definitely have H, but
Where's H?
or sorry, we're definitely using K. K is the right one. I mean, but you put some stuff back in the box. So,
Heavy.
yeah, this is H, and we don't want H. We have the right one. Okay.
I should
So, yeah. So my thought said there's a little bit of room here for a reason. Just make sure this all lines up. We're not going to actually attach it in. Sure, it all lines up.
Oh.
Yeah, it does all line up. So that makes sense. I'm still not a fan of the.
Still not.
Yeah. So not a fan of how wobbly that is. Just want to be sure we're not missing something. I mean, we should follow the instructions to the T here. This is all in the way it's supposed to be.
Okay. That's just silly.
Yeah, I mean sometimes they're designed to give you a little bit of wiggle room, and when you finally finish the installation, it will tighten. I just want to be sure that's what we're doing, because nothing sucks more in building a computer and sometimes like not working, and then having to go take it apart again. Done.
That's what happens on this computer, right?
Yeah, I can. So what I'd like to believe is that when we tighten this final piece up, what it's going to do is it's going to pull this tight. But I guess we'll find out. So this is where it gets interesting. So there should be some early steps in here. Remember that we didn't actually yet, where you put the CPU into the socket and then put the thing. So we're not there yet. So what you need to do is open the CPU. Which one is the CPU? It'll say Ryzen. I think it's somewhere in that vicinity.
I know the Ryzen.
Yep.
This is the first one.
Yeah. Okay. So this is cool. The CPU, the so-called brain of your computer, it's this thing here. See how big the box is?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of why there's such a big box to this little thing?
To keep it protected. And
Sort
the
of.
wires.
It's actually the stock cooler. Remember I said I don't use the stock cooler, so you get to see what the cooler that it comes with looks like. And I'm gonna do this part again.
It looks like an Exacto knife.
It's a box cut. We just voided our warranty. No, we didn't void our warranty, but can't return it if we decided we wanted to. Okay, so let's get this up.
That's a nice package.
It is, yeah. So take that, and there's your CPU. That is an AMD Ryzen 5 3600X. Set this aside, and that's actually all we're going to take out of the box.
So
I think that'll. I think the only thing we'll take is, I mean, eventually we'll go pull the sticker out so you can put it on your case.
like this.
It's there already. So I guess it is all we need. And who knows, maybe you'll want to sell your cooler at some point. So you open this up very carefully, but don't take this out. See how it opens like that? Just open it up. Okay, so don't take it out just yet. So what you're going to find on the socket, and the socket is where the CPU goes, is that on one of these corners there will be an arrow. Tell me if you can see an arrow on one of these corners.
Next.
No, on the socket itself, there will be an arrow. Right there. You see it on the socket?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little embedded arrow. So what you're going to find, and see if we can see without taking it out, is that this will have an arrow as well. You see that right there? There's an arrow right there. I'll open it up. Right there where my thumb is.
Oh yes.
So I'm gonna do this because
Yeah.
it's probably the one part where you can kind of really mess everything up if you do it wrong. So which side the arrow is on. Put the arrows in the right spot in this orientation. We're going to lift this lever.
That's cool.
Yep, and then we will just
Oh, does that make holes for
gently
it?
slide it in. Yeah. So you see, there's a bunch of little connectors here,
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of
Mini.
those there. Yeah, you don't want to touch the bottom. That's where all of the communication goes. Then once this is in,
You close the hole.
close it, and now it's mounted. Okay. So now the CPU is installed into the motherboard. What do you think? That's not too bad, right?
Mhm.
Cool. So the next step is to put on some thermal paste.
Um,
That's where this comes in.
That we did put it on.
Everybody will give you a different set of instructions on how to play this. Some people will say an X. Some people will say
Square.
dots at the corners in the center. Some people will say just smush it around in the middle. I don't have a preference as long as whatever I do doesn't get this stuff like when the cooler presses on. Like I just don't want to have it spread all over the motherboard because that's just a mess. So
maybe we should make like a tiny little square in the middle. Well, not a tiny, but
Yeah.
medium.
maybe we're gonna open this up, and I just didn't do this part. I just want to be sure. Like I don't even know if I'm gonna get it right because I don't really know quite how this mounts on. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit of experimenting. And then there's like pro tip here. There are several ways you can attach this, like this way or this way. I like to find where the CPU fan connector is. So usually if you look on the case, one of these little connectors will say CPU fan. Don't touch anything, but see if you can find where it says CPU fan. Because what I ultimately want to do is I want to orient this so that this piece is as close as possible to the CPU fan connector on the board. So here I see chassis fan, I see AIO pump, excuse me, your head's a little bit. And CPU fan, I see CPU fan here, but that's not the actual connector.
Maybe it's supposed to be like right here. Sorry.
That's fine. So it says CPU fan, but there's no connector there. So
Is it under?
nope, it wouldn't be under. So my guess is it's one of these. So we're actually gonna go grab the book out of the motherboard. There's gonna be absolutely certain where we're doing it right. So the motherboard box honestly. Because normally what they'll do is they'll put this label right next to the connector. In this case, my guess is this is it. This has got to be it. It says CPU fan, it says CPU opt, and then way down here, there's a connector and another connector. So my guess is it's labeling this way because it didn't have room to put it down. But because it's not labeling right on the component, I want to double check. Yeah. Section 2.3 is CPU installation. Doesn't say, so I'll just look for the board. There's usually like a schematic diagram or something of the board itself.
Is
Somewhere
it
in
at the very beginning or?
Depends. It used to be right at the very beginning. So this looks like what we want. So if we orient this the same way the board is, this is it. And CPU fan is 2 CPU. Yep. That's it. That's the right one. And in the book, it's labeled properly. It's actually right in front of this. Like I'd expect the label to be here and here, but I said the label was here and here. So we're in the right spot. So what that means we want to do is I want to get this set up this way so that I can reach it over here. I don't want to set it up this way because then it's going to reach all the way around. Okay? So we'll do this. And we're just going to, we haven't put any thermal paste on there. We're just going to set this on, get a feel for what exactly this is going to look like. Sense. I'm having concerns about how much space there is. I don't feel like it's going to make a good smell, but let me see what we can think of that. Yeah, I don't think I like that. I mean, it's fine, but look at all this space. I mean, that
Oh well.
doesn't seem
But is this maybe? Did they actually label as C not good?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure what's up with this. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this off. I'm sorry, everybody out there. It's a little boring, but we want to be sure we get this right. This is all correct. And if I install this here, there may be directionality to this screw. Yeah. That looks fine. I wonder if we should leave the original backplate on. Now, it's not here in the diagram. That would give us a little more space to play with. I'm going to give that a shot. That would make some kind of sense, actually. Despite the fact that the instructions don't indicate it. So what I'm going to do there, and I've mentioned it on the stream, is I'm going to try putting this backplate back on. Maybe. No, that doesn't look right. No, it's actually not going to work. Yeah, that won't work. Might work. Might. No, you can put that on.
Okay.
That's not from your computer. That's one of my old phones. So I'm just going to do an experiment here. I'm going to see if this will work out better with the original backplate still attached. I have doubts. I have reservations. Thank you.
Do you need a smaller screwdriver?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's just as bad.
That didn't sound right.
No, I mean it's fine. It just didn't stay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that slipping noise didn't sound right.
Take that thing. This is all done the way the instructions say. So what I'm trying to do is figure out if we just got some previous part of the instructions wrong, but everything looks exactly identical to what the instructions say. So we're in good shape. everything lines up just well. It's just these standoffs don't mention anything. Those are back inside. This, check this again. Oh. Something's not right here. It's probably me. This is how I want to do it. You want to do this?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Here's the screen.
Thanks.
I can't even see this on the camera. One sec. Make this. Let's put some. Let's get this out of the way. And there. Can you do that?
Oops. I'll do talk to you in my treasure. Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job.
Oh, I just hit something. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it not straight?
Yeah, I think it was quite straight. I think we're good now.
Okay, cool.
What do you think?
Good.
Okay, that's nice and tight. This is nice and tight. Okay, so that might make things better.
Okay.
That might make things better. Now these are still wobbly, but my guess is that this will fit on better now.
Yeah. That's cool. It fits pretty well.
It does. Okay. So that's looking half decent. Now, this is another pro tip here. So there's a problem that you probably don't see because you haven't done this before. But I see it right away. The issue is that if we don't put the RAM on right now, we will not get the RAM in.
Really?
Because we put the RAM chips here, but this is blocked off by the cooler. So what we need to do is we need to actually remove this, and we're going to install the RAM now.
Yes.
The RAM is this. This is the RAM. We have the
That's not movie.
Yeah, we have the G-Skill Trident Z RGB. This is DDR4, 2x16 gigabyte, 3200 megahertz. It's really good RAM. I'm just surprised at how cheap this stuff is these days. So we are going to cut this open, and I guess I'll cut it open. And, oh, there we go. That's open. And I'm sure there's someone out there who wants to see me cut myself. I'm not going to give you the pleasure if I can help it.
Cut your finger off.
There's the RAM. It's pretty cool. This has a sticker too, and I'm going to toss that. So, this is the RAM. This is DDR4. DDR stands for double data rate or dual data rate. And what it means is it affects how often the memory can read or write based on the clock cycle, the 3200 megahertz clock cycle. So see how there's 4 slots here, but 2 of them are light gray and 2 of them are in dark gray, almost black.
Yeah.
You always want to put 2 DIMMs, these are like DIMMs, in. You always want to have 2 that are dual data rate, and you want to be sure that they're in alternating slots. And I usually want to go like 0 and 2.
Okay.
Just like 0, 1, 2, 3.
Mm.
So you want to figure out which one is 0. Let's see.
Didn't
I like this.
B1? Is it right here?
Wait, here we go. So it's B1, B2, A1, A2. So we're going to figure out how to open this. Somehow, some way, we will get this separated. There we go. There. We're gonna save this sticker, put it aside. Nice for the camera. Little G-Skill RAM sticker there. And we're gonna take this.
Are those 2? Or is
We
it
have
just 1?
2. So we want to line these up. Is that the right way to do it? You see this slot and this here?
Yeah.
Is that the right way to do it?
Wait.
What if I did this?
Yeah, that looks
There's
good.
another way to do it. So what you do is make sure these are open. And I'll put the first one in. Actually, I'll put it in here. So you have an easier time with it. Better. Yeah. So you're going to just line these up. You're going to just push till you hear it click. So there's one you
And
hear
it closes.
Yeah, and just close it. So that's same.
Oh, so it's sort of like a ski boot.
Sure. Or a rollerblade or something like that. So now we're going to do the same exercise here. Is that the right way to do it?
No.
Is this the right way to do it? So what do you want to do it? So hold the edges, kind of like this, and get it nice and lined up. Don't touch the buttons. Nope, you're not lined up. There you go. Kind of keep it straight, and then give it a nice solid push till you hear it. Push. Here's a click. Here's a click. And these both close. And I'm just going to close these guys. There's no memory in there. So, like I said, you want to have them in alternating slots. It's the only way to do this, right? Otherwise, you basically have single channel memory. You have 2 single channel slots. By separating them like this, you have 2 dual channel slots. So these chips work together.
One more question. Is your computer the same box as mine?
No, I got yours. Your case is a smaller one because you didn't want to have something huge.
Yeah.
But I think it looks super cool. Okay, so now that the RAM is in, right? Again, pro tip, like, gotta check that. So now we're going to go and see if we made a huge mistake. Like, hopefully this fits with the RAM. It does.
Yeah.
We have about a 1/4 inch of clearance. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but that's a little bit of clearance there. So we're good. We're good. Now, like I said, my first time building my computer, I thought instructions are for chums. I don't need to read instructions. I got this. I don't know why I felt like that the first time I built a computer, but I did. And I several times had to take it apart and put it back together. So let's see if we can avoid too much more of that. I guess we'll continue on with the next steps in the cooler installation. See this cooler installation? We're gonna have the whole computer built when we get this thing sorted out. So I'm gonna put these in there. Sticker. Okay. So we left off on
5?
step 5. So I think we're done with step 5. You see how this step 6? I'm gonna see it up here.
That's weird.
Step 6 has a 1, 2, 3, 4. So you basically want to do diagonals and then over and diagonals. And that's a tightening order, and you'll see that a lot in components. You just want to be sure that if you tighten it all on one side, you may make it so that you miss a line. You you can't get it all to line up. So I usually like to go like most of the way on one corner, and then most of the way on the other corner, most of the way, like follow the instructions, and then do a final tighten pass at the end. So, is there a little wrench that came with it? Is that what that is? Cool. Yeah, that's a pretty cool wrench. It's got a little little place to hold the nut.
Okay.
Yeah. Derek's at the age where he can't hear the word nut or ball without chuckling.
Sorry.
Let's see. So we're gonna look at the instructions, then we're gonna just pick a side. Like it doesn't matter which corner we start at, just whatever we do, we're gonna go one side, in the opposite diagonal, and over, and then the opposite diagonal. So I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pick the hardest side, which looks like this one. And we'll just make sure we have this. So this is I. And we're just gonna mount this here.
Maybe.
Pause. What did I say we need to be sure we don't forget to do? Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. Well, there's two things. No, one was peel off the cover on the heatsink, and the other one was to apply the thermal paste. We did not apply the thermal paste. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, so we need to do that. So I'm gonna nope. I'm gonna do this. I don't know what this is made of. I'm a little worried that it's toxic. I don't know for sure, but I'd rather have me deal with this.
It's massive. I understand.
No, it's not like toxic to smell, but like if you get it on your skin or something, you don't want to risk it. It's probably fine. And Arctic can let me know if I'm way off base, but just to be safe, I'll take care of it. So to do this, I'm going to use the 5 dab method. This means I'm going to dab 5 times. I'm going to apply a center dab. Ish. I'm going to apply a few smaller inner dabs. That should be good. I'll just get a little more inside, just to be safe. So, got that. Now, I will align the heatsink again. Get it installed in the right spot. Make sure it's connecting in all the right places. Looks good to me. I don't see any like seeping out the sides. Looks to have a good seal. Looks pretty good. Now, I can get back to what we're about to do. So I'm just going to take this.
You need to put this in somewhere?
Yeah, we'll put it in. We don't have to do that just yet. It's easier to not have it in. So I'm going to just hand tighten this for now.
Because it's super hard.
Yeah, it's easier to do it that way. So fix that. Now I take another one, and it's going to go to the opposite corner. And it doesn't matter a whole lot now because we're not tightening it to the point where it becomes immobile. You're still just going to follow the instructions. So we did cross, and to the side. I say to the side.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do it. Okay, good. You got that one?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So
Okay, got it.
that's looking good. And I'm gonna come in here, and I'm just gonna stand this up on its side. There's nothing's wrong with that. So
when you look at it from the back side, it looks like it's spiral.
Yeah. Just gonna tighten this. This wrench that I thought was super cool is giving me a little bit of grief. Yeah. I wouldn't say sucky. That's a little bit strong of a word. It's just not nearly as cool as I thought it was. You should probably not be playing with the pieces. We don't want to lose anything. Okay, I think I got this thing sorted out. It's very unusual, but I think we're making progress.
Are you tightening it to the left?
No.
Oh. So I say it from my perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Here's that. And then we now go to the opposite corner. How you doing over there? Cool. This wrench actually works a lot better when you have a little more maneuvering room. Of course, I would rather have
and normal.
Yeah.
Or something just go vertical then.
Yeah. I'm just a little too lazy to go look for something. So I will make do with what we have. I think I'm getting the hang of it anyway. I'm not going to quite go super tight yet. I'm going to come back into a final tightening pass. Just getting it most of the way there. Right? First time we got kind of like hand tight. Now we're getting most of the way tight.
And next time we'll get all the way tight?
Yeah, we'll just do a quick like half turn or something on each of them. So everybody out there, what do you think? You're enjoying watching us learn as we go? I've done a lot of PC builds, but I've never done the same PC build twice. So you're always running into something new. And luckily, the more you do it, the less new you run into. But
still some of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's always something, and that's what keeps it interesting.
And fun.
Yeah, it can also make it frustrating and
stressful.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? The more you have to work for it, the more rewarding it feels to finish. There's a saying, what is it? Nothing in life worth doing is easy. I don't necessarily take it to that extreme. I wouldn't say nothing worth doing is easy, but I agree with the sentiment. And it's interesting. Of all the components that give me trouble when running a new PC build, the CPU cooling is generally where that happens. I guess also wiring up some cases. I've had some cases with the most weird wiring you can imagine. That is painful. Okay, this is actually super cool. No pun intended, since it's a fan. But this, with that last level of tightening, this is on nice and solid. You want to feel it there? Give it a little tug. It's nice and solid. Okay, so I guess we can connect this up now. So now there are two connectors here. Just be sure we know which one is which. This looks like RGB. So we'll probably
Where's RGB?
We'll probably do this a little later. I'm gonna put this aside, but we can connect the CPU film here. So do you want to do that? You see how there's a little, it's for the camera, there's a little groove.
Maybe
groove
very
here.
close.
There are grooves here. And there's a slot here, and you just want to line that up. And be very careful not to bend the needles to that stuff. So I'm going to move it this way so the camera can see it, and you get a little better light. You're going to line it up, and you don't want to bend any of those pins.
Oh, no. Yes.
Freaking me out, man.
I'm kind of worried.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
You got it. There. Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to worry about cable management later. I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. I'm surprised this is just out in the wide open like this.
No, I'm sure look.
No, it's fine. Like, we're going to plug it in. I just need to find where. There's usually like an add RGB or RGB header somewhere on the board. There, I see RGB things. I'm not going to plug it in yet. Oh, wait. There's another one right here. That's cool. I'll plug it in for now.
Will it start being shit?
I'm not going to say that we're going to leave it here because we have way more RGB stuff than you have headers. So we're going to need to do some kind of split. Let's see.
Headers and splitters.
Yeah, is that what happens when you hit the soccer ball a little too aggressively?
Head splitters?
It's a header, right? You hit the ball with your head. And if you hit it too hard, you might get a splitter out of it.
That's a splitter.
I assume that's what happens when you hit the ball too hard with your head. I don't want to see that. Okay. Motherboard, check. CPU, check. CPU cooling, check. RAM, check. I think we are at the point where we can
Get the case?
get the case. But there's an important step that has to happen before that. We need to make some room. We need to clear our space. Yeah.
You're just watching for my mind that we didn't even use any of this.
Yeah, this is fine. Now I'm gonna keep this. No, we don't need this. This is interesting. This, I believe, and we'll find out later, I believe this is for cases that don't have RGB support. Sorry, for motherboards that don't have RGB support, you can fake it with this. We have RGB support. If I had an older motherboard that didn't have a header, we have at least 3. I think we have 3 RGB headers. If we had a case that didn't have headers, we could use this to basically create one. So I am sorry, but what I'm going to have us do is I'm going to put this back. Actually, that's kind of boring to do on the live stream, so maybe we'll do it later.
Yeah, so how about we just put it in my hands?
I am going to move this to the small bowl. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to move the small bowl away, stick it wherever the next is. Okay. Put this away, and you throw that away. I'm good. Yeah. So, important to keep the space clean. I'm going to keep the motherboard book handy.
Open this?
You want to open the case? Hold on. Remember what I said? We need to clear the space. So, this stuff. And I'll go. Where's the rest of the fan stuff? I guess put that there. We're going to leave these bolts out because they're going to help us organize. We're going to leave the screwdrivers here.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't throw away. We have like 90%. We have 90% of the paste still in there. We're going to save that. I'm going to put this with the rest of the stuff, and I think we're in good shape. I'm going to put this off to the side, and let's get the case. Why don't you bring I'll be in charge of the dangerous. So, real quick, this is a CoolerMaster Q500L. It's a kind of cool looking case. I got it for Derek because I wanted something small, but that could also fit full size computer components. and I want something that looks nice. It's got glass, glass panels, got USB 3, it's got all the stuff we get this going.
It's like, ooh, what do you think my V looks like?
I'll amend it to say I think it's got everything we need, and I think everything looks. We will find out. I did measurements based on components that I already had and documented dimensions for the weight. Take this off the table for now.
Oh, I can slide it on such.
Yeah, it's a pretty light case. It's empty. There's nothing in it. So, excuse me. Hold this back.
Oh.
Whatever you're talking about. So, I like to preserve these. Another pro tip. Save these for the time being. One, if you have to send it because something's not working, you want to be able to do that. Two, if you're building a computer for a friend, relative, whatever, it's really nice to be able to use the case and to send it out. And I know it's upside down. Mm-hmm. I'm putting it this way so I can get the bag. Can you pull the bag out from underneath?
What?
Can you pull the bag out from underneath?
Oh.
Thank you.
Is this?
Oops. That is a filter. Good job. Okay. Now we're going to get this done.
There's instructions in there.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is much tinier than I thought it was.
Yeah, so it's a pretty good sized case, right? Let's get some measurements here real quick.
Should I?
No, we're not going to take this off until we're done. I don't want to skip this one.
Ooh. Are these like power buttons?
I don't have a measuring tape, but
I have one downstairs.
No, we're good. Like, it's not super critical. But there's 12 inches and another 2.5. So it's about 14.5 inches. And it's pretty much square. Pretty much. Right? Yeah, and here. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly square. And it is 8.25 inches tall. So pretty small case, right? But it's big enough to hold the ATX motherboard that we have. ATX is like a size kind of standard. Full-sized RTX 2070 Super that we have. And that's pretty much all we have. We're not putting a CD drive in here. Of course, we're not putting any like floppy drives or anything like that. We're not putting even any hard drives into this. We have an NVMe SSD. We're not going to worry about that just yet.
No.
So I am going to remove these thumb screws. These thumb screws give us access to the interior of the case, and we're going to put these in our magnetic bowl. Do you want to get that thumb screw? Righty tighty, lefty loosey.
Okay. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Just you got the luck of the draw, man. This is the only one that needs. So these are thumb screws. Can't really see it on the camera. They're thumb screws, but they also have Phillips head or even flathead screwdriver slots. So you have the option if you have weak hands.
That's just hard in general.
Yeah. Let's see.
Is it the glass?
It's probably just pops out. Yeah, there you go. Cool. So we'll set this aside.
Whoa.
That's kind of cool. Great.
It's RGB.
It may or may not be an RGB fan. In fact, it probably isn't, but I have a bunch of RGB fans I can let you use. I'm going to take off this panel as well, if I can. Looks like I can. So the reason I'm taking off both panels is...
I'm just going to untighten this wire because it's stuck to...
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm just saying it's stuck to there.
Is it stuck to this?
Yeah.
Stuck to the thing I'm about to take off? Are you sure?
Yeah, look at it.
You are right. It is. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, take it off. Good job being observant. Let me know if you need help with that, if it's too tight.
Dang it.
I kid. Oh, perfect coordination. Like I pulled it off at the moment I saw that thing falling back. Nice, good job. So we're taking off both sides, and that's so that we can get at the entire thing. So here, you're asking about that piece, the filter. So
That's a pretty cool design.
Derek knew this was a filter, and it's the kind of cool thing that comes on cases these days. It's actually a filter, a dust filter, so you don't get dust into the system. But it's also got a magnetic strip around the end. So there's one already
on it,
installed, and I'm going to take that off. And this is how it works. It's super easy. You just stick it on here, no dust. You want to dust it off, you take it off, and you
rinse it off.
You can rinse it off, or you can use some compressed air or whatever. Super handy.
Compressed air is that spray thing, right?
Yeah, the spray can.
Which sometimes sounds kind of.
Yeah, it sounds like a cat very, very upset about something. So we have, this is kind of cool. So cable management, I think I mentioned it before, it is where you try to make sure you don't look like you have a rat's nest. So we're talking about cats and rats now. You don't want a rat's nest in here. One is it's ugly, and two is that it impedes it. I guess so. A little talk here is in order, Derek, about the way you want airflow to move through the case. So this is the front of the case. This is the back. You can configure your fans as intake, which means bringing air in, yeah, or exhaust, which means it's taking air out. You have a lot of options for how you set it up, but someone's asking how much RAM do we have. We have 32 gigs. We have 16 by 2 DDR4. Sorry, I'm not sure how long ago that question was asked. Yeah, cool. The way I like to approach fans on a case is I like the front to be intake. I like the bottom to be intake if you have bottom fans. And the top and back are exhaust. Now the top is exhaust because heat rises. So heat is naturally going to want to rise up in the case. So you're just helping it along. You're creating a little bit of a vacuum, right? Negative pressure up here. That stuff just pulls right out the front. Now, usually you get cooler air at the front anyway. And so you just want to pull that in, let it blow over all of your components, and just have it shooting right out. So hot air is coming out front and the back, and cold air is coming in from the front and back. So we'll set it up that way. Now, there are no fans at the front of this case. So we'll put a couple in there. We have, I think I have a bunch of 120 millimeter fans, and oh yeah, someone was asking about case fans. So yeah, there's nothing in here. I have some 120 millimeter fans, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that filter that came with it. And I'm going to just probably stick it on the front. I have these guys that have been sitting in my drawer for a while, and these are filters that fit right over 120 millimeter fan. So we'll give the right angle on this. So they're pretty cool, but we'll see. It's actually got a wider front than I was expecting. It's actually wider than the front of my case. So maybe 150 millimeter fan or something would be in order. I have a 140 millimeter fan. I also have a 200 millimeter fan. That might actually fit too. Let's see where we get. This is 200 millimeter fan is about 200 millimeters. Yeah. Put the rulers on it. 200 millimeters is about 8 inches or so.
So much for such a measurement. Yes.
Yeah. So 200 millimeters is about that. Just I was saying, it looks like it actually could fit a 200 millimeter fan there. I'm not sure how many 200 millimeter fans I have though. Like I said, this is wider than I was expecting, and I don't think I've ever used a 200 millimeter fan. I just happen to have it. I'm a hoarder of computer parts. So let's see. This is interesting. There's a power connector, and there's like a female power connector. That's interesting.
Female power connector.
Because you plug into it. This goes back here. Let me trim this along through the piece. It goes right into the power supply.
That hole?
It looks like it's just an extender for the power supply. So I'm a little.
This looks like it's supposed to go over there.
Yeah, I'm a little confused about how that's.
Is it wrapped up in there?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. My guess, and like I said, you always learn something new. My guess is that this case, as you put the power supply. Yeah, so I think they made some, I don't want to say compromises, but design decisions based around the small size of the case. So that we're probably not going to put the power supply where it would normally be at the back. We're probably going to put it somewhere like in the front and use this connector to let us get power to the rest of the system. So ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to plug the power cable like back in here, but this is going to run this line in through the case to the power supply. Let's take a look at these. Learn something new every time you put a computer together. So do you want to look at these instructions start, and we'll move this down for now. Get that out of the way. Has anybody out there ever built a Q500L? I thought it looked really cool. It still does look cool. Let me just figure out how this works. So, let's see. Yes, power supply installation.
Do we have pieces?
Yeah, we'll have all these pieces. Let's figure it out. So there's a bracket or something.
Don't remember coming with a bracket.
Oh, it's already installed.
Oh.
Okay.
Can I remove this onto the stage of the out here?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've never seen it set up this way, but let's see if we can get it on the camera. So it's kind of crafty. Let's see. A little bit of delay makes it hard. So there's this piece in here that looks like we're going to remove. We're going to install the PSU into that. We're going to mount it onto this and remount this back into the case. And this cable here will plug into the PSU, and that'll be how we get power. It's kind of cool. I mean, it lets us fit a full ATX motherboard and a 12-inch RTX 2070 Super into a pretty small case. Cool. So there are 4 screws here, 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 and here, and it looks like that's it. Do you want to do the honors?
Sure. So the screws here.
No. Sorry, we're removing this bracket, and there are 4 screws.
Oh.
You good? And I'm going to move the motherboard somewhere out of the way for now. And here's the magnetic bowl. I think you can just hand remove it. And just there you go. Yeah. I'm just loosen it to the point where I can just. Are you good?
Yep.
Full.
The nail just slipped. Well, the screw just slipped. Okay.
You got it? Good.
Someone. I'll find it.
Yeah. Right at that fourth point.
Can't really see that. I'm pretty sure any of my colorblind glasses see that.
Yeah. Cool. Oops. You good?
Got stuck in the tip.
So now we have this piece. And we need to figure out how to orient the power supply. I think what it suggests is that we put the power supply such that the power cable connector is here. So it's like programming. We've got a stack. We're pushing more and more things on the stack. We got the motherboard on the stack. We got a case on top of the stack. We got PSU mounting bracket on top of the stack. Now we're going to put the actual PSU onto the stack. We're going to pull that out.
Oh, where is it? Oh.
Power supply unit. I'm going to move the case down. I'm going to move the mounting bracket over. Bring this. So we have a Game Mac 80 plus gold. It's a 750 watt RGB power supply. It's an off brand. I've never heard of them before, but it had really good reviews. It was in stock, which is nice, and the price was right. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was like $70 or so, which I guess is somewhat pricey, but it's RGB. It's RGB, and it is really well rated. The things I don't cheap out on ever are the motherboard and the power supply. So that's that.
What's this?
For every child, a fair chance. $1 goes to United Stated Fund for UNICEF. I think in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is right next to D.
Cool. Yeah. That's this right next to D. You are right. Okay, so there's an adapter, so we're gonna hold on to that. We may not need it. We probably won't need it, but we hold it. So the power supply connects to the motherboard. It powers the motherboard, which powers the CPU fans, all the RGB stuff. And sometimes, depending on the motherboard you have, you might need an adapter for the power supply. So we'll just hold that. I'd like to think we don't need it, but we'll bring it. We've also got a modular power supply. Modular, Derek, means that you just put together the pieces you need and all the pieces you don't, and go by the wayside until you need it. You probably won't ever need it. Actual power cable, I'll set that aside. Screws and more cable management options. And finally, the money front here is the PSU itself.
Which is harder to get out than the this.
Yeah. We put together a video on removing things from big styrofoam boxes. That's that. Yeah. So set that aside. We will open the plastic. What am I doing? You can. Good job. Yeah, I take that. Cool.
Oh wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool.
Let's just turn this off first.
No, we're gonna leave it on. The reason so Derek suggested that we turn the switch off. We actually can't. We have to be sure this is on, because, like I said, we're gonna install it into the bracket and mount it into the case. We're gonna put it in this way. The front of the case will be right here. We will never be able to turn it back on without taking the computer apart. So the last thing I'm going to check before we mount it is that this is in the on position. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. I hate taking apart computers once you've already got them built. Cool. So that's there. Now let's take the mounting bracket and let's see. So this came in this way. So I'm going to mount it in this. The reason I'm going to mount it this way is this is where the fan, sorry, where the edge of the case goes. Remember how this screwed onto the bottom? I want to pull air into the case, and you can tell which way the fan blows because it's scooping on the other side, so it's going to push air this way. So we're going to move it here. That works pretty well. Cool. It's much, yeah, definitely a good call to remove this before. And not try to mount it in there. That would probably have been impossible. So we have screws that came with this. So I'm going to let you take care of that. And I like to approach all of these components the same way. You do one corner, then the opposite corner, and slide over to the side, and then, yeah. The reason being, yeah, that's for cable management. So I'm going to suggest you start with this. Okay. The reason I start with this one is because it's the one that doesn't have its own hole. So I just like to get that one secure.
Okay.
So we're just going to do that, and now you can get whichever screwdriver you're comfortable with. And don't go all the way tight. Like I said, we'll go diagonals. We'll go most of the way tight so it doesn't wiggle, but don't go too tight because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to be able to like line up all the other ones. Okay, so I've got this one lined up. So now you can go grab a screw and get that started.
Do we usually go to order and computers? Like making computers?
Generally anything like electronics where you're trying to mount something, like, attach two pieces securely, you want to do that. Whether it's fans or coolers, because it's very easy to let it, remember, we don't want to tighten too much in. This is the wrong screw. This isn't the right screw. I think you grabbed one from here. And you put the one in the bag. So it fits, but it's not the right screw. So if we use that, it would mean that we couldn't use it for mounting the bracket back onto the case, which means it would have a higher profile, which means it might scratch the carpet or wouldn't scratch your desk or something when you put it on. So, yeah, so you can go ahead. You got it.
Oh, we're saying it's done.
Okay. Yeah, not super tight, but tight enough that it's not going to wiggle too much. There you go.
Okay.
Good job. Perfecto. Nice. Very good job. You don't need to go too tight. If you go too tight, it might damage the screw.
Reform it.
Deform. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you got this.
Do we
Can you put that in the trash? Yeah, we'll get the case shortly. Actually, can you put this in the trash as well? Thank you.
You should use this for beef jerky.
Okay, so that all makes sense. Careful, you know there's stuff on the floor, right? Cool. Do you think any of your friends are watching? Or any of Derek's friends out there? Cool. Okay, so that's in. Okay, cool. I'm getting a read where this is at. So now spring the case carefully back up. Okay. And go. That's gonna get ended here. So I'm gonna pull this out. So here, suggests mounting it here.
Yeah, I'm 600.
which I'm not going to do. I'm not going to mount it where it suggests mounting it. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, which side is the bottom? This is the bottom. Okay. I think I might actually let me see. Let me see how this one goes. If I'm honest with you, that would work. Sure. Brio. Yeah, good job. So, just trying to figure out where exactly I want this to fit.
I'm not tall enough to do this stuff.
Yeah, sorry. Well, this part's a little funny. I could go here.
The cable in the back.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think this makes sense. So I'm gonna do something that's a good idea. Several times stuff all over. I'm gonna get the motherboard. I want to get an idea for how much experience we have. I don't want to sort of commit to something by screwing something in and then realize that I'm not gonna be happy. Let's see. Okay, that looks right. That looks right. That all looks right. I think this makes sense. I think right here makes sense. The reason being that it puts the power supply, the modular slots here, right next to the power slot on the motherboard. So we can do some nice cable management with that. Cool. Now, another pro tip: before you mount the motherboard, you want to install the face template on the back of the case for the motherboard. So we're going to actually take this out. I was just sizing things up. It wasn't actually. Okay, so I guess. What do you think, Derek? Do you want to take a break and get back to this later?
Yeah.
You're gonna stop for now? Yeah, I think we're going to stop the stream for now. Derek's getting a little hungry, so we're going to grab a snack, and we'll jump back on later tonight. Thanks a lot for joining in. It was a lot of fun. We'll try to get our audio issues sorted out as well. I'm pretty sure RTX Voice crapped out, and you're hearing our air conditioner in the background. So I apologize for that, and we'll see you in a few hours. Thanks again. Take care.